A friend recently just poked his head into our office and said to me, whatever you do, don't ever get divorced. He's going through a divorce. I said, don't worry. That's not happening. Odd thing to say to somebody.
Yeah, not just how you been, how was your vacation or anything like that.
Yeah, I think, though, most people who've been through a divorce would probably say that, at least in the middle of it.
Don't you think sometimes, though, there are amicable splits?
It does happen.
It does, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I think people just say, hey, we grew apart.
Yeah.
But, you know, I think a lot of divorces, though, at first, in the middle of it, feels like, you know, contentious. This is terrible. I should have never done this. 5 years down the road, I bet everyone's much happier.
I heard someone, I think it was Nikki Glazer, you know, the comic whom I'm a big fan of.
Yeah.
And she was saying that when some of her friends, this is a couple years back, some of her friends were getting divorced. And the circle of friends would say, oh, I'm so sorry. Nikki would always say, congratulations. And the friend would be like, thank you. That's what I wanted to hear.
Right. They're doing what they want.
I'm moving forward.
Well, it's apparently costing my friend some money, too. And he's like,
and I'm sure emotionally there's a toll.
Well, and he said, you better off staying married. And I said, well, I'm not looking for a divorce. And he goes, that's right. You know,
that's the attitude to have.
That's what I said.
Say it to yourself over and over.
Chris Demm's a fan of Sarah Michelle Gellar.
Big time.
She's out promoting, I guess they're doing a new I Know What You Did Last Summer, and she's got a cameo in it.
Really?
Am I right on that?
Mike, I think they're doing.
That's going to be challenging. Love Hewitt's in it.
I feel like you're.
I think I'm right.
You're right.
I
Yeah,
think so,
I thought they were
they're
making like an update.
Well, they are.
Well, we're like a third.
Well, what I'm hearing is she can't be in it. Was it going to be a flashback or something?
It has to be a flashback, but she's 40-something-year-old woman.
Still looks great.
Well, I know she does.
Freddie Prinze Jr., too. They've been married for 23 years.
Almost since that movie,
That's right.
Yeah.
Did they meet on that set?
I think they did.
Yeah.
Or that or Scooby-Doo, I'm not sure.
Well, she was asked, what is the secret to your happy and long marriage? And she said, separate bathrooms. They never use the same bathroom. She's more sensitive to hygiene than he is. She has to have it ultra clean at all times. He doesn't. And she said when they first got married, they used the same bathroom. And after a while, she's like, this is not going to work.
Well, who does that sound like? A little bit like you and your wife.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm all for, at this point, I don't think I'll ever get married. But if I ever was to get married now, I'd want separate bedrooms.
Separate bedrooms?
Yeah, because I think, one, I just, I love having a whole bed to myself. I mean, half my bed is like remotes and chargers and things and,
CPAP machine.
CPAP's on the dresser. Yeah.
But you've got to have I know how this is. My hosing comes across.
Well, yeah, but it's like when I, have dated someone and they've spent the night, I've been incredibly uncomfortable with them sleeping in the bed because I feel like I can't spread out like I want. I can't move around like I want. And it'd be like, quit moving. I'd have to sleep in a weird position.
Do you have a California king? Do you have the biggest possible bed, Biggie?
I have a king. Well, not a California king, but a king. And I just, I always never liked it. And now I'm just like, I could never imagine sleeping next to someone every single night.
That term sleep divorce became a thing a few years ago where you sleep in separate bedrooms, and couples said they were a lot happier. They slept a lot better, and they made love when they made love. Your place or mine. Kind of sexy, That kind of turned me on.
This sounds terrible, but
different locales. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah,
little adventural spice.
Yeah.
Whose room tonight?
Yeah,
I'll let you change your sheets tomorrow. See you.
Exactly.
Yeah, you got to change your sheets.
See you later. You can get up and leave.
Yeah.
Go watch the draft after you're done.
This sounds terrible, but but my ex from a few years ago, she would fall asleep on the couch, and I just let her sleep there.
Just leave her there.
Yeah, because I'd go to bed earlier than her. She'd be like, "Well, I'm going to watch TV out here," and she would fall asleep, and I'd be like, "Oh, thank God."
Well,
Win-win.
It worked out.
And then in the morning time, I'd leave, and I'd wake her up and be like, "Oh, you slept out here. Well, I'm leaving. You can go to the bedroom now."
Well, we have a quick update on your health. It is at this time every day that we update the days since Biggie's last illness, and I'm happy to report we are going to double digits today, folks. We are up to 10 days without an illness. It's good for you. That's great.
This is big.
We take it day by day.
This is really, really big. And it's interesting that to me, getting healthier, we've just lost someone, an overweight American that you've likely never heard of. And when I tell you she's passed, you're going to go, who? Huh? Lulu Roman from Hee Haw has passed at age 78. I know your reaction. Who? What?
Yeah.
Who is that?
Lulu. I vaguely remember Lulu. I don't remember her much. I don't remember a lot of her jokes and stuff from the show. Did she sing, or was she just kind of there for comic relief?
Mostly comic relief. I think she did sing some, but she was made fun of because she was an overweight American.
Okay.
She was a heavier female.
Heavy.
By far the heaviest female on the set.
I was going to say, was that kind of her job on the show, though, was just to be heavy and be made fun of, kind of like me at this job?
And you both do it incredibly well.
Yes.
Yeah.
And one of you made the Grand Ole Opry.
I'll tell you one thing. We need Dave Aiken sitting in here right now because
he could go on, yeah.
Exactly who
He
I'm
can tell
talking
you what you did before.
after, all of it. That's right. You know, she's married to Kenny Rogers' brother. That's what he would have said. What?
Yeah, she sold Chevrolets in Grand Rapids.
What? How'd you know that? She was on Hee Haw for the first episode in 1969 and the last episode in 1993. The whole run.
The whole run.
And she became a gospel singer after that. May she rest.
Okay.
My father always thought she was very funny. And every time she'd come on during Hee Haw, he'd go, "Look at this now. Look at this." Because she was
Now,
big.
this is comedy.
She was big.
This is probably one of those situations where, much like the catcher in the Bad News Bears, the original,
That's right.
they were heavy set for the time, but by today's standards, wouldn't even bat an eye.
Yeah.
Exactly. I think I told you on Friends, the character Monica, played by Courtney Cox, her backstory is she was really overweight in high school. So for 3 or 4 episodes, they'll do flashbacks, and Courtney Cox has to wear a fat suit. And when I was watching, it's like, oh my God, she looks so heavy. This is early 90s. Now, barely, you wouldn't even say she's chunky. She's a little, and we don't even use that term anymore.
No.
Oh.
It's a size word. We don't say chunky.
We did say fat suit. I think
Okay.
we're all right now.
We can't say that either.
No.
You're not supposed to say these kinds of things. you
No,
know?
I had a gym coach in the late 90s who, he was great. I thought he was hilarious, but I mean, he would call me like Tubby and stuff.
Exactly.
He'd be like, "We gonna get you skinny before the semester's over, Tubby."
Yeah, we don't do that anymore.
No,
No,
and
you
I
won't,
mean,
Coach.
No.
yeah,
No,
and
you
I
will
thought,
not.
I'd laugh. I
You
thought it was
outlasted
funny.
him,
Yeah.
didn't you? You beat him.
Last laugh.
Yeah.
He retired.
Oh, he's probably long gone. He was old then, but I always thought, but we had a great relationship.
Well, see, again, earlier this week, we had this thing from the Wall Street Journal where the reporter said there are going to be no more nicknames because you can't just take a guy's overweight and call him Tubby, and that becomes his nickname. Or Little Bit or Big John. We just had Big John was our meet and greet contestant yesterday. Now we don't do that. We don't use size words. So Shorty is
No.
going away.
You call someone, a nickname or fat on the internet now, you're taking the task.
My dad's best friends were Shorty and Flathead and, all these different kinds of things. And Lulu has passed away at 78, which I thought she'd probably died long before.
Yeah.
I didn't know.
So how old was she when the show began?
Well, let's see. Let me do the quick math on this. And the show began in 1969. If she was 78, that means she was born in 1947. She was 22 when the show began.
Wow.
That
Yeah.
is young.
Youngish.
Very young. So she was on there from age 22 to like 46, it sounds like.
I think I remember her in the Culhanes. Is that with the family that sat on the sofa?
Yep. Yes. That's
Not a lot of moving.
her job was to sit on the sofa and then have people make fun of her, which was really great. That passed for really
It's
good,
cutting-edge humor there.
Really good TV. Here's how Biggie and I have influenced Netflix. They are doing something now where, and I guess people have demanded this for a while. Biggie and I pioneered this, and many people do it now. We turn the captions on when watching a show, even if it's in English.
Does that mean there are always captions on your TV or only when you're Netflixing?
Well, for Netflix, only Netflix. But you can set it for any of those streamers. So we have it on HBO Max, Netflix, and maybe Prime.
Mine has gotten so bad where if sometimes for whatever reason the captions get turned off, I'll start a show and I'll be like, what's going on here? What's weird?
You miss it.
And it's like I have to have the closed caption on.
Yesterday, my wife finished up The Pit, which is on Max, which she enjoyed. And she had the captions on because it's a lot of quick medical jargon, and she wanted to see it. We turned it on for Succession because it was a lot of low talking kind of stuff and a lot of business stuff. And we've had it on ever since. And like these British shows, we always keep them on.
Oh, yeah.
Well, now here's what Netflix is doing. Apparently, there's been a call for this. They're allowing you to do closed captioning with only the dialogue. because right now it will say like phone buzzing or dramatic music on there, and people get annoyed by that. So now you can choose a version where you can have that if you want it.
So you can hear the kids in the background playing in the playground.
But it won't say soft giggling in the background.
Yeah.
No, I want that because sometimes it's funny. You know, it'll say like sensual music.
I know. It's true.
Moaning.
Sometimes if there's like moaning and sensual music, it'll give you the lyrics of the song playing in the background.
Yeah, I like that too. It'll
Really?
it'll just give you the lyrics of the song sometimes.
Yeah, weird.
But I kind of like where it'll just be like moaning,
I know.
loud moaning.
Marvin Gaye,
Soft
sexual
moaning.
healing.
It does that a lot. And
So is it a different type? So you have two choices now when it comes to
that's right. Well, there are several different
Captioning.
choices. This is the latest choice that you can have on there. There's subtitles for the deaf and hard of hearing marked SDH or CC. That's closed captioning. Now there'll be another that will only have, just the words, just the dialogue that goes back and forth between characters. And that'll be another one of those that you can choose from.
What does that say about us as U.S. Americans?
A lot.
We can't even watch
We
TV.
can't even watch it. We can't watch it without the subtitles. And now we're annoyed by soft moans in the background.
Moaning.
Birds chirp. Oh, get it
There's
off.
a lot of that. A lot of birds chirp. Yeah, they do
Phone
it.
rings.
They do it.
Okay.
Yeah, they do that.
You know,
That's
I
right.
feel like eventually when my knees give out and I'm forced to stay home all the time,
Yep.
I'll need a work from home job. Maybe I could work closed caption. I feel like you could do that from home.
Yeah, just do the
Like as you're watching, just be the person who types it in.
types
real
in
quick.
what they say.
You're not a very good speller. I mean, you're not
But-
the worst we've seen.
Well, let me tell you this. Sometimes that doesn't seem to matter on closed caption.
True.
You'll catch a misspelling, a wrong word.
Really, that like if you're watching local TV, if you've got your closed captioning on, you see that a lot. They used to tell me I worked local TV for a while.
Please clap.
Yeah,
Polite clap.
Fox of Philly.
Polite applause.
Okay.
I'm closed captioning our show.
Raspy laugh.
Yeah.
Sore throat.
Outdated reference incoming.
It's clear one of them has COVID, but won't do anything about it. Hey, that shouldn't be up there.
Undertones of COVID.
Co-workers are terrified of it.
Yeah.
And he'll be out in public tomorrow.
I will.
Breathing all over people at charity events, exercise events.
Yeah.
Heavy breathing. Spittle. Soft applause. I work local TV pretty well for a time.
Weren't you asked to leave?
Twice. First they asked me, then they told me, get out. So I was told that whatever goes into the monitor, you had your, what do you call it, teleprompter. That was what people saw on the closed captioning. So we had misspellings all the time on there. So,
Really?
Yeah. So I assume, about every story. Well, whatever the reporter typed in went into the box for the teleprompter and then made it to the closed captioning as well. So that's how the way the computer system was all. So if the reporter or the anchor or the producer.
I wonder how
typed
it
in
works
wrong.
now. If it's still direct from teleprompter for like a local news program.
Now that may be the case for local news, but I'll bet you for stuff like Netflix, it's artificially like AI, don't you think? It'll just
Embedded in the show?
I wonder about that.
I don't even know.
For something of that magnitude, I was thinking, like when Biggie's saying there's misspellings, I see that way more on just local stuff if I happen to have the closed captioning on than with a Netflix or an HBO Max show. I feel like that's done through artificial intelligence. But I really don't have any idea because it's been so long since I worked in the industry. I told him I was going back to the winter radio. You don't need closed captioning on here.